المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. وقل رب زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد إيمانكم فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون. وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون. تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وما الله يريد ظلما للعالمين ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So, after mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after mentioning the two basic groups and the outcomes, here the outcomes are going to be mentioned, the two basic groups, the people of Iman and the people of Kufr. The people who have looked around, used the faculties of seeing and hearing and understanding which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them and used them, reflected upon what is around them, what is in them, and realized that it is a Creator who has created us. We are a creation, we should be subservient to Him and dedicate our lives to Him. They succeed. And those who are enslaved by their lower desires and follow their whims and fancies, then of course they lead a life of negligence, incognizance, and then ultimately death comes, and then the final outcome. And the final outcome is mentioned here. يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ الْوُجُوهُ وَتَسْوَدُّ الْوُجُوهُ. The final outcome is that the faces will be enlightened. On the day of judgment, there will be two groups, a group of light and a group of darkness. Of course, those people of light, their faces will be enlightened, their bodies will be enlightened. In front of them, light. To the right of them, light. It will guide them straight into paradise. يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ الْوُجُوهُ. The day that the faces will become enlightened. White, basically. White with the light of Iman and belief in Allah. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ. And وَتَسْوَدُّ الْوُجُوهُ. And there's the other group whose faces will be darkened with the darkness of kufr, apostasy, innovation. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ اسْوَدَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ. As for those whose faces are blackened with the darkness of kufr, apostasy, innovation, it will be said to them, أَكَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. Did you disbelieve after your iman, after your belief? Did you turn back after acceptance? فَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. So taste of the punishment for that which you have denied and you have disbelieved. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ ابْيَضَّتْ وُجُوهُهُمْ فَفِي رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. And as for those people who their faces will be enlightened and whitened and brightened with the light of faith, the light of amal, so they will be in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therein they will abide forever. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the manifestation, the ultimate manifestation, the physical ultimate manifestation of the rahmat of Allah is paradise. They will have lived their lives by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so now they will live forever, eternally within the auspices of the manifestation of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the paradise, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with them and never be displeased with them. تِلْكَ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ نَتْلُوهَا عَلَيْكَ بِالْحَقِّ. These are the signs, these are the ayats, the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we reveal to you, recite to you, بالحق, in truth. وَمَا اللَّهُ يُرِيدُ ظُلْمًا لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want injustice. He doesn't want harm. He doesn't want difficulty for His human beings. They choose the path of difficulty, they will receive difficulty. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's overriding theme is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, mercy, and for that He has created them. But it is up to them to become eligible to be the recipients of that mercy. وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belong all that is within the heavens, in the skies, and in the earth. وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تُرْجَعُ الْأُمُورِ. And to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will all affairs be returned for judgment. So who are the people of the enlightened faces? Who are the people with the darkened faces? So there's various explanations that Sahaba and Tabi'een have mentioned. Among them, Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu mentions that the people of the enlightened faces are the people of Sunnah, who follow the way, the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the pious ancestors. And the people of darkness were those of innovation, who twisted and turned the religion into something of their own design, for their own purposes and designs. Another opinion of Sayyidina Ata radiallahu ta'ala, one of the great tabi'is, is that it will be the Muhajirin and the Ansar who will be the people of enlightenment, and those who turn back after their belief. The Yahud, who were the people of Iman, they were the Muslims previously. But when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, the one whom they were waiting for and anticipating, they disbelieved. So among them, Banu Qurayza, Banu Nadir, from Medina. Also, Abu Mawr radiallahu ta'ala mentions that the Khawarij, this is very significant, the Khawarij, who are the Khawarij? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from such an outcome. The Khawarij were a people, as Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala were asked, are these, kuffar? The Khawarij were the people who actually went against Ali radiallahu ta'ala, Muawiyah radiallahu anhum, and they said, they're all headed towards the fire of hell. We are the ones. We are the ones on haqq. Everybody else is on batil, and they're all going to hell, and we're going to paradise. Actually, it's the other way around. And as a matter of fact, they were extremely particular and about ibadat and about halal and haram. And their opinion was that anyone who commits a kabira, any major sin, he leaves Islam totally, which is not the standpoint of Ahl Sunnah. Yes, he's guilty, he's a criminal for that criminal act, but he doesn't leave Islam for that. And the doors of Tawbah are open. And even if he doesn't do Tawbah, it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to excuse or forgive. So they were extremely violent, not against the enemies of Islam, but against their own brethren in Islam. And so they were ones who had entered into Islam but then left, and there's many ahadith mentioning about them from Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu particularly was, accosted by them and tried and tribulated by them. We have groups who appear from time to time of the same type. And we have them in the world today, these fellows running around and blowing up buildings and people and masjids, and it's the same syndrome. It's the syndrome that everybody is wrong and me and mine were right. And actually there's really a huge corruption of the minds and hearts, and there's a musibat for themselves, there's a musibat for others, and there's a musibat for Islam. And today it's a huge musibat, for Islam. And whatever anyone does on the end of the East, it comes to be known 5 minutes later at the end of the West. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. So also, these are various opinions as to who those are. But basically we call this in tafsir bin Nur. In other words, this is a group among those. All of these people mentioned, and others, people who of the book, who were originally Muslims, but then when Isa alayhi salam came, or when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, they went back and they didn't realize that they didn't enter into Islam, and so forth. So these are examples of those. Otherwise, the people of Iman and Amal are the people of the enlightened faces, and the people of light on the Day of Judgment, and the people who leave Iman and do not accept it and proceed on a path of kufr, of course they're going to be among those. There's one last intricate point here, and that is that the mention يَوْمَ تَبْيَضُّ الْوُجُوهُ وَتَسْوَدُّ الْوُجُوهُ. So the people whose faces are going to be enlightened are mentioned first, and then the people whose faces are blackened with the disbelief. However, after that, the explanation Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins with the people whose faces are darkened with darkness. And then the explanation of the people who are going to be in the rahmah. What's that? Because the beginning is, and the overall objective of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to have mercy on His people. In between, people get out of line and they go off the track, then that is what we call yani aradi. That is something out of the main purpose, but it's among Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's perfect design, and it has to be there. That's His design, and He has engineered the universe. But then, ultimately, finally, in the final analysis, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the main purpose, the people whom He has created for His rahmah, hum fiha khalidun. He also mentions that they're going to be in the mercy of Allah, and they will be there forever and ever. And the people who are swaddat wujuhum, it's not mentioned. They will be in the fire of hell. They'll be there forever. It will ultimately end. There's a difference of opinion. The mainstream opinion is they'll be there forever and ever, and the people of Iman will be in Jannah forever and ever. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those whose faces and countenances are enlightened and give us light in this world and in the next. Ameen. Thumma ameen. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum.